Good evening and welcome to SPORLITIKS, where sports and politics mix and mingle. I'm Stacey Johnson. Joining me tonight is Aguna, the Nigerian moderate Republican. Stephen is back.
All
The
right.
independent thinker. Pete, the constitutional conservative.
All right.
And my cousin Todd.
All right.
We got a
Everybody's
packed
here.
show for you. Was on board a plane that crashed northwest of Moscow today, according to the Russian Federal Air Transport Agency. The Republican debate is on tonight, right after the show. Make sure you stay on our show before you go watch the debate. And more, if we can fit it in. First up, Stephen and NASCAR. Stephen, what's going on with NASCAR?
Well, NASCAR is getting ready to go into their playoff season since the NFL is getting ready to start and baseball is getting more fired up for their playoffs and everything else. But we got Daytona coming up this weekend, and there's a couple guys that really need to do well to get in, and one of them is our guy Bubba Wallace. If he can do well this week, win the race, or just do better than the other guys in front of him, he can make the playoffs. If nobody else that hasn't won a race this year wins the race at Daytona. But I have some grievances here, and it's not with NASCAR. It's with, if everybody knows that watches this show, I do like to do some moderate gambling on a website, and my website is MGM. You know what MGM has done to me? And I want anybody that can give me any advice, any help at all. They took my future bets away from me. They erased them. I no longer have my future bets. If you've been listening to the show, you know, like Ross Chastain, I've got him on 3 different bets to finish in the top 4, to finish and to win the championship in 2 different bets. And I have, when Messi went to Florida, I put money on him, and they've erased that as well. I have no future bets on MGM. And if anybody knows anything that can help me out, I'll be so glad. I wrote them a note, and they said they'd get with me within 24 hours. That was about 37 hours ago and 15 seconds. So I've gotten nothing from them. So that's really got me a little perturbed. But again, the playoffs are starting with NASCAR, and Daytona is going to set everything up, and it's going to be crazy, and it's going to be one of the best races of the year.
Who's going to be one of the favorites to be on the top or win for the playoffs for NASCAR? And can you tell us again, for those who don't know, what are the playoffs for NASCAR? How did they get to the playoffs? I mean, how did the drivers, what did they do to qualify to be in the playoffs?
Everything's based on their production. If they've won, they basically can get in the playoffs. If they have a lot of points, they can and have won a lot of different things during the year, they can make it to the playoffs. It's different things like that. People can get knocked out easily that haven't won. If you win a race, you're almost guaranteed to be in the playoffs, but there is no guarantee if there's a different winner, because there's 36 races.
Wait a minute. So you're saying, in other words,
but there's 26 before the playoffs.
You're saying I could run a race and I'm guaranteed to make it to the playoffs?
If you win a race.
So all I have to do is win one race and I get to go into the NASCAR.
Almost guaranteed, because if there's 26 races that people can have an opportunity to win, because in the last 10, that's when the playoffs are. So this is the 11th race that's left, the Daytona, and then there's 10 races left. So you have Daytona. So if people do well, and maybe somebody wins a race, haven't won a race this year, because Daytona is anything. If you know anything, it's a 2.5 mile track. They're going a couple hundred miles an hour, and it's always crazy. There's usually a rookie will win, or somebody you never expect to win. This is why, because there could be a wreck with like 20 cars, and then there'll be another wreck with 10 cars. It's a crazy race, so anybody can win. So they've made it so. This is what I don't like. I'd rather have a racetrack that could be more normal, and it's not so insane, like a Talladega or a Daytona, that is so insane, and you don't know anything that's happening. But NASCAR's made it like this just to make it more of a crapshoot. And if there maybe the trajectories say we have to do it this way, people like it this way. Maybe it does, but old school like me doesn't. But it is still interesting. It's still keeping my attention, and it's still a lot of fun. And this week is going to be crazy because the people, like I said, Bubba, who needs to win, they're going to go all out and do whatever it takes to win. And it's going to be very interesting. This could be a really good race. And when the playoffs, any playoffs of any sport begin, it is a good time. This is going to be a really good time.
Where does this race take place?
This race is Daytona. Sunday.
It's going to take place in Daytona Sunday. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I would wish that it was Saturday night, but it won't be. And I got to check my notes because maybe every now and then they'll sneak one in, but I'm pretty sure it's Sunday because they won't do anything nice like that and do a Saturday Daytona race, which that is a great race at night, but they probably won't do it. If they do, I'll now find out during the show. I'll let you know.
All right. And what else did you want to talk about besides NASCAR? Baseball?
Well,
or did you want to talk about the NFL?
Well, I could go for the NFL first. And the one thing, the big headline, and if the Commanders have new ownership, and it is
really? Who are the new owners of the Commanders?
Brand new time. They have this basketball player that used to be pretty good, and a businessman. It's a pretty good guy, but no. But we don't have Dan Snyder. This is what we have. We have new ownership that's like, we are all about the fans. We're all about a new stadium. We're all about bringing, this is going to be great. This is the headline. Don't miss this. Bringing back the Redskin name. And this is what this new ownership wants to do. And they have so much collaboration from the Native American Indians. Then they feel like they've been left out. They feel like they've been shunned. They feel like that they've been kicked in the heads when they shouldn't be. We celebrate American Indians. We celebrate them, these people. We love these people, and this is why they're our team. Like the Kansas City Chiefs, they don't hate Native Americans. We don't hate Native Americans. So it's going back to the Redskins, and everything that's been politically correct is coming back around because people are so tired of the garbage, and everybody is wide awake now. So it's going to be great, and we're going to be the Washington Redskins again. And this year, mark my words, I would do a future bet, but of course I said MGM erases my future bets. I would take the Redskins to win the division because every team is one person away from not being good. Every team is one or two people away from not being good. And the new Redskins have just as much chance as anybody else, and nobody's getting them a chance. And they beat the Baltimore Ravens in preseason, and Baltimore Ravens have not lost a preseason game since 2015. And we beat them.
Who beat the Baltimore Ravens?
The Washington Redskins.
Okay, so look at this article, Pro Football Talk. NBCSports.com. It says in Washington, Josh Harris, the new owner of the Commanders, not the Washington Redskins, but the Commanders.
The Redskins. Sorry.
That's not what it says.
I know. It's fake news.
He has a group of limited partners that includes Magic Johnson. But you must say that Josh Harris is also partial owner of the Philadelphia 76ers.
Right, that's correct.
And there is a problem with Josh Harris's, the way the Philadelphia 76ers, the way their fans feel as though Josh Harris leads the 76ers. They feel as though he does not care about whether or not the Sixers win a championship. You know, we have not won a championship since, I don't know, how old is Quinn?
I mean, how can you blame it? How can you blame it on owner? How can you can't blame it on him. They've had a lot of
Well,
great players and a lot of opportunities to win.
well, you blame it on the passion of the ownership and how they put their team together, how they figure out the money, how they determine the coaching. All of that goes into play in order for a team to win. And
Right.
he's been at the Philadelphia 76ers for quite some time, and we've made it to the playoffs over and over again, despite, several different coaches. We had Doc Rivers last, now we have the former Toronto. I guess he thinks that if we have these coaches that know how to win a championship, it doesn't matter that he doesn't have the rest of the ingredients to make the pie. So if I'm making a sweet potato pie, right, and I leave out the sweet potatoes, it's not going to be a sweet potato pie. It's the same thing with
Okay.
winning a championship. If you have thinks he has the players, he has the coaches, when he really does not have the right combination of the ingredients, we're not going to win the championship. And that's, I think, how a lot of the fans in Philadelphia feel like he's not passionate enough to put in the right ingredients for us to win.
I don't understand that at all, because if you're making a sweet potato pie, why don't you just substitute the sweet potatoes with pig's feet like you always do?
Can't hear you, Keith.
You can use yams instead of
There
sweet
you
potatoes.
go. There you go.
Now, don't talk about yams. Now, that's Aguna's thing, yams,
He doesn't
Oh,
like it.
Aguna's
because he's
not here.
Nigerian.
Aguna's
What?
not here.
Did they have
So,
yams
Well,
in Nigeria? Did they have yams in Nigeria?
well, yeah, but
they
he
have
he says,
plantains.
no, they don't. We'll let Aguna explain that when he
No, that's
returns.
Caribbean or something.
So, so having Josh Harris as one of the owners of the Washington Commanders is, I think, going to be a tough thing for you guys in winning any type of championship. Sorry. Not
We're
sorry.
not
You
looking.
are
We're
in the
not looking to
NFC
win. We're
East.
not looking to win the championship. We're
Oh,
looking
good.
to make the
Goody.
playoff. We're looking to win a
Goody.
playoff game, right? Because we've been down for so long. It's beginning to look up to us, and we're going to be fine. We have new ownership. We have a whole new breath of fresh air that's going through there, and just do not sleep on them. Do not sleep on them. They're ready right now. They have
Why
a
are you
quarterback.
Okay.
They have a
with any of
quarterback
them?
that reminds me of your
Who did
quarterback,
that to
Stacey.
you?
And Stacy, I got a real dilemma now. I've got the first
What?
pick. I've been in a
Uh-oh.
30 year fantasy football thing.
Relationship?
30-year fantasy, relationship with fantasy football. We're touchdown only. So you take a quarterback first. I got Mahomes, Allen, or Hurts. I can pick either of those three. And I'm leaning a little Hurts right now.
Okay.
What do you
Well,
think,
So this
Stacey?
this is in your fantasy football, right?
Yep.
this is all in your fantasy? All right.
No, just
No,
fantasy
Todd doesn't know.
football.
So can you explain what fantasy football is to people like Todd?
I already know. It's when he comes up with ideas for some of these players, and he has a fantasy of maybe playing with them or tackling them, or maybe they tackle
No, I
him.
want Jalen Hurts. I
maybe-
want Jalen Hurts to throw me the ball. And then I throw it back to him, and he jumps up and catches it. No, it's fantasy football. So I have to pick the best quarterback. Oh, and Joe Burrow. So Stacey, out of those four people, Burrow, Hurts, Allen, or Mahomes, is it Mahomes, automatic Mahomes, or not? Is he like the new Brady?
I think it's Jalen Hurts, because if you compare the stats between what Jalen Hurts did at the Super Bowl to what Mahomes did at the Super Bowl, who do you think played in the best quarterback position? Not who won the
Right.
Super Bowl, but who played
Because
in the best
the
quarterback
Eagles got
position.
cheated. The Eagles got cheated. I believe that 100%. They got robbed.
No. I'm talking about
The Super Bowl.
Hurts.
They got robbed at the
I'm
Super
talking
Bowl.
about the game. Hurts
I know the game. They got
versus
robbed. They should
Mahomes
have won. They should have won the game.
in Super Bowl. No, let's just talk about what they did.
Right,
I
I know
mean,
what you're
I
saying.
think Hurts made history more so offensively for the Eagles, more than Mahomes did for that specific game.
And I think the Eagles have a more of a favorable schedule coming up. I think and you know who else? Mahomes lost his left tackle. He's got like a rookie left tackle now. How is that any good? But everything points to Mahomes.
Who
Oh, you
has
have
who
to
has a
take Mahomes.
rookie? Who has a rook? Who you saying has a rookie left tackle?
I don't know if he's a rookie, but he lost his guy that was like a top tier left guy. He went to New England or something. That's Mahomes lost him. His left tackle. You know,
That,
take the
Terry?
guy that guy who protects him the most.
Who is that, Stacy?
I
Can't
don't
think of
know
his name.
who
Probably.
Mahomes left tackle is because I am not a
Oh,
Kansas
no,
City Chiefs fan. I'm an Eagles fan, and I don't want to know. So I
no,
don't
who's
know
I'll
who he
tell you.
is.
that on the show?
Oh, oh, that's Nas. Hey,
Oh,
Nas, welcome to Sporlitiks, where sports and politics mix and mingle. We were talking about the ownership. Stephen is very excited,
Well,
Nas, because the
Stephen was
ownership.
talking about fantasies, and he was having this fantasy about football and
Josh,
playing with some
get
of the
right.
guys. What? What are you saying?
So let
Todd,
me
you are.
finish, Todd.
Todd, you are
Okay,
incorrigible.
so Stephen was saying that since Josh Harris is one of the owners for the Washington Commanders, that he believes they're going to go and win the Super Bowl. Oh, I'm sorry. He believes that they're going to win a playoff game. And I was saying, be wary of Josh Harris because the Philadelphia 76ers, where he partially owns, feel as though his ownership has not promoted the Sixers to winning a championship. And then we went on to talk about his fantasy football and how he has the difference between Burrows. He's trying to choose between Burrows,
Jalen
Mahomes, Hurts,
Hurts,
and who?
Allen,
And Allen as his
first
quarterback.
quarterback.
And I was saying, obviously, Hurts beat out those quarterbacks during this actual Super Bowl game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs in terms of what Hurts did specifically. So Nas, you're on mute. Do you want to comment on that?
No, I mean, anything I tell him, it would be the wrong thing. I don't know why he would listen to anything I would tell him about football. I'm not trying to help him win nothing. Like I wouldn't give him good advice. So no, like he should not listen to me.
That's
Well,
So, okay,
I
I'm
would,
asking
but I
you,
would give
do
you, I
you
would
think
give you good advice, man. If I'm not in the league with you, I would give you good advice. We're not playing against each other, so why wouldn't you give me good advice?
I don't want you to win anything, and there's a real question about whether you're capable of giving good advice.
Nas
Hey,
is
I've won many a Super Bowl. I bet you I'm on more Super Bowls than you have.
I'm not playing in a 4-team league with your cousin, uncles, and nephews. I'm playing against people who actually can read and write.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the people I play against don't know how to read or write. You're right. Yeah, they
so?
make a lot of noise when their knuckles drag the ground as they walk.
Woo! Nas is
So let's
cold.
look at the overall grade. They talk about the overall quarterback grade, but I don't want to talk about the overall quarterback grades between Mahomes and Hurts. I want to
Because
talk
it's
about
better
how,
with Mahomes, because Mahomes has a higher grade.
yeah, but that's overall. But I'm talking about during the actual Super Bowl game.
You're taking one game. You're taking a
Yeah,
Super Bowl game, Stacey.
yeah,
You're
I'm doing
minimizing it
that.
micro.
Yes, I'm doing that to say I would pick. That's how I would choose, because the Super Bowl game is that's the top, right,
Stacey,
of
you don't
the
know anything
NFL.
about football. You should really rehearse or research football before you come
Okay,
on.
Todd, I'm
No,
gonna
she
go
knows
on
a
mute.
lot. She knows a lot.
So
She knows a
when you
lot.
reach the Super Bowl game, you're at the pinnacle. You're at the top, right?
You've
That's
had
what
a
you
lot of
feel
good
to reach
luck.
the Super Bowl, and
You've had
then
a
to
lot of
have
things go your way.
Hurts Okay, so to have Hurts play the way he did during the Super Bowl compared to the way Mahomes played, yes, I'm going to pick Hurts over Mahomes on my fantasy team. It's just that
Why?
Okay.
simple.
Just
I
because
wouldn't
Hurts
pick Josh Allen. I wouldn't pick Burrows. I mean, come on. And that's not helping you. That's helping me. Nas.
just because Hurts might be able to hit a home run, so what?
So what? Everybody can hit a home run. You're right. Thanks, Todd.
But
Don't
but
worry about it.
No,
Nas, go ahead.
for the non-Steven people out there, it doesn't matter. Like if you get Hurts or Mahomes or Burrow, like it really doesn't matter. The main thing is what does the rest of the draft look like? So if you can get Burrow and Jamar Chase or T. Higgins, then take Burrow if that's possible to stack up your receivers
Right.
with your quarterback. So with Josh Allen, you can probably get Steph Diggs. So if you can get Diggs and Allen, you take Allen. With Mahomes, it really, unless you get Kelsey, it really doesn't matter who you pair Mahomes with.
Right.
And Jalen Hurts, he gives you the option of he might run for some touchdowns. So you don't necessarily have to have A.J. Brown them. So just think of it like that. Like it really doesn't matter. Everything is so close that everything that really matters is what is the rest of the people in your draft league doing? Are they leaving
Right.
receivers up there that you should take?
Yeah.
And do that.
Right. Right.
Nas,
You're right.
tell the audience or tell Todd, what is fantasy football?
Fantasy football is a kid game for adults that people gamble on, and a big part of the reason why so many people are interested in football. This is why the NFL is king in America. Fantasy
Yep.
football rules all,
Exactly.
and you'll have people cheering against their own damn team because there's money
Yep.
on the line for them with a fantasy league.
And Nas, it doesn't work with any other sport. You can't do fantasy baseball or basketball to have the same effect that fantasy football does. Nothing else in any sport can compare with the NFL. It's perfect. It's a perfect union.
Yeah, well, you know, except for those people who decided they was gonna go heavy on the Braves this year in Major League Baseball, and you know what I'm saying.
So you do baseball too?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Braves, ATL, we do this, but yeah,
No,
there's a
but
lot of
you
fantasy talk
you
here.
do fantasy. Do you do fantasy baseball?
Yeah, man, do it all except fake sports like hockey and golf.
Okay, I can dig that.
Hockey and golf are not fake. But
Yeah, you do. You do you.
Man, hockey
so do
player
you want to
skilled. Hockey player is very skilled and very tough guys.
That's right
So
on brand for Keith to come in and defend hockey.
oh yeah. I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Shit.
how do you
Yeah,
know he's a pro?
Nas can do Nas. We don't judge people's sports. He just doesn't have time for all these other sports like we do, Keith. We got
I
all
get
this time in the world because we're retired. We're laid back. Our feet are up. We're drinking a Mai Tai. We don't have any problems, man. Right on,
Man,
brother.
don't nobody want to watch y'all segregated, terrible non-athlete sports. Y'all can keep those. And where is Cousin Todd?
Hey,
Don't tell me.
ain't nothing segregated.
tell
If
me out
anybody
there-
has any talent to be a hockey player, they can be a hockey player. Nobody's stopping them. Same thing with NASCAR.
It takes
Ain't
no talent
nobody
to play
stopping
anything.
you. If you got the talent, come on, jump in.
You're driving
So
around
Todd
the
just
course.
stepped off for a minute, but I want to share my screen and say congratulations to the women, Spain, women from Spain. If you can see them, they won the World Cup for women's soccer. Congratulations to them.
Congratulations. Do they still have their coach?
I don't know.
He kissed one of them on the lips.
Well,
Did you hear
at least-
about that? Did you hear about that, Stacy?
No,
At least-
tell us about it.
Yeah, that was a big brush up because it went like viral or whatever. He kissed her right on the lips. She's like, "Oh,
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, there's nothing by it. You know, we're European people. That's what we do. We kiss each other's cheeks, lips, whatever, foreheads." So he said there's nothing by it. So I think it was kosher. I don't think anything happened to him. I haven't heard anything that has happened to him yet. But you know,
yeah, at least it was male and female. Male.
That's the problem you had with it, Keith. That at least it wasn't.
Yeah.
Man, what is wrong with you? Sexual assault is wrong.
Well,
Sexual
sir, I just
assault
believe
is
morality.
a problem. Like, God.
That's what's wrong with me. I guess I am. That is wrong. What's wrong with me? I believe in morality, a moral standard in
So
this country.
sexual assault is
So-
fine as long as it's the right genders. Okay, got it.
All right, so if you look at this article by AssociatedPressNews.com by David Brunat and Joseph Wilson, it was written today and updated 5:45 p.m. Barcelona, Spain. The players' union representing the Women's World Cup winner kissed without her consent by the president of the Spanish Soccer Federation said Wednesday that his inappropriate act should not go unpunished.
Oh boy, here we go, Stephen.
Jenny Hermoso, who was kissed forcibly by Federation head Luis Rubiales
Forcibly?
during Sunday's awards ceremony, said in a statement that the Foot Pro Players Union and her agent would defend my interests and speak on my behalf. The union continued by adding, "We are working so that the acts like the ones we witnessed don't go unpunished, are sanctioned, and that pertinent measures are adopted to protect the soccer players against actions that are unacceptable."
Yeah, and
She
just
said that she did not like it, but what could I do about the kiss? That's what she said. So she felt kind of helpless. Go ahead,
Right.
Nas.
No, because it was so quick. She really had nowhere to, like, she turned to him to embrace like everybody does in championship. And dude, all of a sudden took a couple extra steps. It got real weird. But the team has had problems with the coach and also the administrators for Spain. And they had been trying to get that dude out of there. The head coach and also one of the main administrators trying to get them out of there. But somehow they pulled together and the players took care of it and won. And again, it's always a beautiful thing when England loses. It's even more beautiful when England loses the game they invented that means so much to them. I love it. I love to see the British cry. I ain't had such a good time since somebody passed away. Excuse me.
Oh,
Well, as a woman, as the only woman talking right now, unfortunately, that has happened to me. That has happened to me where I have embraced someone just casually. And as I went to turn my head one way, they just forced their lips on me. And it's a very uncomfortable feeling. You feel violated. You feel like, it's unwanted. You feel like,
give me a break. Stop making it so dramatic. Now, this
No,
is
I couldn't imagine somebody jumping in your face and kissing you on your mouth. I couldn't imagine if a
you
woman would
kidding me?
jump in my face and kiss me on my mouth. I don't know my
Oh,
reaction
stop
to it.
it.
It depends on the
Stop it.
situation. But I'm like,
What if?
that is weird. It's weird that the coach kissed this chick in the
Stop
mouth.
it. Stop it. What difference does that make? I'm sure you and Keith. Well, you know what? Never mind. Just forget I said anything.
We've never kissed each other on the mouth.
I didn't say anything.
Can you
about
prove that?
kissing
Other
him.
places maybe, but never on the mouth.
all right, all jokes aside, and I could tell you guys feel uncomfortable about me saying that because you start joking because usually humor is a defensive posture for humans to take.
No, it's
And
not.
you guys took a defensive posture
I
because
did
that made
not.
me
No, I'm not
very,
defensive. Are you
very
defensive?
uncomfortable. Todd
I'm not
was.
defensive.
That made me very, very comfortable.
I wasn't
Uncomfortable to have
defensive. I
someone
was just.
force themselves on
Oh,
my lips. I didn't like it because
I wouldn't like it.
who would
Oh,
want someone to do
please.
that to them?
No,
You
this
wish.
is where we kind of rewind the clock and get into that locker room talk moment where we talk about 45 and some of the things that were seen as normal that people used to do back in the day that turn into now where you look at it, you're like, damn, that's assault, bro. You really can't be doing that. But at the same time, how is it so many dudes that's they get down? Like, in what world is that the move that's gonna make her like you? Like, when has that ever worked? Like, it seemed like
You never can tell, man.
raggedy maneuver that ain't gonna go good for
Hey,
you.
all
Like,
women are different. So some women would like that, and some men would like. Everybody's different. You never know. Maybe we'll work on somebody.
yeah, it just don't seem like a good roll of the dice. Sound like
I
most of
wouldn't
the time
try to
it's gonna
roll
be
that dice myself.
snake
I'm with you on that.
eyes. That's
I'm
all
with
I'm
you,
saying.
Nas. I'm
I
with you
don't
on that.
think it was. I thought it was just he was excited and he
That doesn't mean you have to kiss someone in the lips because you're excited.
oh
You can hug them
gosh.
and hold them tight and let them go. If
He
you're
didn't kiss-
excited, doesn't mean you
Yeah, he
kiss
didn't
them
kiss the
in the
water
lips.
boy on his lips. He kissed some probably good looking girl. Is she cute?
Oh my gosh. I can't deal with
Anyways,
this.
speaking of, it reminds you of the former president when he said you just grab them by their peas and they just let you. I guess it's the same feeling. And he will go in tomorrow to turn himself in. But my question would be, and let me ask Keith, how come everybody gets these mugshots except former President Trump? And let me
Wow.
share the screen. His co-conspirators, and one today got booked, and that was, as you can see, Rudy Giuliani.
Now
He
that
got
is an ugly man who allegedly enjoys the company of one of his cousins. Inappropriate.
Well, you need to show your face.
Well, I mean, there's no need for me to show my face. All you gotta do is turn your head. I see your hair. That gives me enough giggles to never show my face.
Anyway, this isn't the dozens. Let's move
Buddy.
on. Keith, why is it that
Yeah.
Rudy Giuliani, alleged co-conspirator, and the other people, and I'll show the picture, are showing their face and being booked, but former President Trump is not?
I don't know. No big deal to me.
Yeah.
Either way, he's innocent. That's all that matters. So
How do you
this is
know?
it's all a farce.
Okay. All right. And so
Cousin Todd.
I think he should have to take a mugshot because
Why?
why? Because when you get arrested, you have to take mugshots. You have to. Keith has to. Why wouldn't you want your hero to have to?
Then why didn't they take his mugshot then?
Well, because they think he's well known enough to where he couldn't try to leave or anything. He's
So
most
the authorities thought it was okay. Why do you think the authorities were wrong that he didn't need to
Because-
have a mugshot? Because they said he doesn't need it, but you think he does. Why do you think he does? That's kind of
for the
silly,
same
Todd.
reason.
The people you respect made a
Just
decision.
a
You should
minute. Let me
respect their
answer.
decision.
Can you let me answer? For the same reason you think Donald Trump won the election, even though all the officials and the judges said he didn't.
No,
But he
the
still
judges
won the
the judges
election.
never took it up. The judges never took it up. Of
Ma'am,
course, the election was.
ma'am,
Of course, the election was stolen.
Ma'am,
And if you
Right.
don't know
judges
that,
said he
then
lost.
you're just. You shouldn't be
60
allowed to vote. If
judges-
you don't know the last election was
Ma'am,
stolen,
ma'am.
and that we've had many elections in this country that are just like Chinese,
Oh, God.
Russian, North Korean
Okay, I'm
elections.
gonna
This is
move
what
on.
happens in this
I'm
country.
going to move on. And look, you see, Keith, listen, I'm going to tell you this. Now, even though you might wind up not being lovers anymore, friends anymore, but Keith laughs at you. Just watch him closely. He loves it when you do all this crazy talk because he
not
doesn't
crazy.
have to do it. It's not crazy. And look, he's
Because
dying.
you think it's crazy does not
No,
make it
he
crazy.
thinks it's crazy, but
Because
that's why
you
he
think
wants you to
chocolate
do it.
ice cream tastes bad doesn't mean it generally tastes bad.
Gosh, look
It's
at
just
him.
your opinion. Everybody, it's all subjective. Everything's subjective.
Nothing is subjective. Facts
It
are
is.
not subjective.
No, the
there
facts
is-
are not subjective. What do you know
No.
for facts? What do you know from facts? All the
I
facts
know-
are
Okay,
all the
let's
facts
talk
are
about-
against you.
All right.
Can we get everybody in before Stephen does conspiracy YouTube idiot
Right.
hour?
So go ahead, Nas. Todd,
Been right every time, Nas. You've been wrong this whole time.
Go ahead,
We've
Nas.
been right. You've been wrong.
It's statements like that, man. But anyway, let's stick to the topic.
Anyway,
Stacey
you
actually
can't rebut what I just said. You've been wrong this entire time. We've been right this entire time. Eventually, you have to
Neither
tell
one
me.
of you have ever been
Eventually,
right.
y'all need to tell me
just
you're
keep
sorry
talking.
for being wrong.
Like right now.
How many
just keep
people have
talking.
y'all
Let him,
killed with
please.
your ignorance? How many people have
You
you
just
killed
keep
with your
talking.
ignorance, Nas?
Steven,
What are you talking
Steven,
about?
let him go ahead. Go ahead, Nas.
Yeah. So as I look at Stephen's sunburned face and Keith's terrible hairline, it reminds
I'm
me
not sunburned.
that Oh, okay, my bad.
I'm American Indian, and I take offense to
Oh,
that.
oh, good. Take all the offense
I
and the
take all the
defense.
offense. At least I
Good.
can show my
Now,
face.
now, now,
I don't know what your skin looks like.
well, I told you I'm a young white man. No,
You know,
anyway.
you're
I
too
love
scared. You're too scared to show your face. None of us are.
Oh
When
no,
you
he got me.
if you
Oh
get too
no.
scared, Nas,
You're
if you get
still
too
talking.
scared, you jump
You're
in my back
still
pocket.
talking.
I got you, Nas. I got you in my
Don't
back
Still
show
pocket.
his
talking.
face because you'll probably try to lay
I
a
know,
kiss
right?
on him. No,
Yeah,
All right,
don't
come
show
yeah.
his
on.
face
Come on, come on. Hello, hello.
because
We
he
got to
will
finish because
molest you.
I want to
Let's
show
get it
these
back together.
co-conspirators, alleged co-conspirators that were charged in Georgia. Go ahead, Nas. Let me go.
Yeah. So finishing up the other part about the mugshot. I think when we're talking about something like this, it's unprecedented because we're talking about a president. I think there's some negotiation at play there. I think somehow they had to figure out, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Like every step was accounted for and kind of went back and forth on. And I think this is just something that they decided to do. And I think they agreed to it because otherwise, why wouldn't that picture be everywhere, all over social media, being used in the ways that, we all know it would. So, I just think this was negotiation. That's what they came up with.
Okay, let me share my screen with you. The key players in being charged in former President Trump's
And
Georgia.
while you're doing that, I wanted to bring up again the fact that I said these court cases should be televised because you will get people like Keith and Stephen who will watch the proceedings and then they will find out what is true and not true because you cannot lie in court. You see? Then they will see that all this, he wasn't, it was fraud. They'll have to explain that there was no fraud.
Right.
Trump just made that up because he said to, I forget who this was, just say it was fraud and leave the rest to me and my flunkies.
Well, hey, I agree with Todd right now because Todd said it should be public, actually on televised. So that's the Sixth Amendment, Todd. Congratulations.
No, federal cases are never televised.
Public trial.
Federal cases are never televised, but I think they should break that rule for this ex-president.
No, that should be televised.
Okay.
Because he has the right to a speedy and
So
public.
let's look at this.
Sixth Amendment.
Look at this. This is the New York Times.
He doesn't want a speedy trial.
Exactly.
The 19 people facing charges. The former president, let's see who wrote this article by New York Times, August 14th. Awaiting booking is Donald Trump, which he said he's going in tomorrow. Mark Meadows, if you can see that list. Michael Roman, Jeffrey Clark, Misty Hampton, Robert Cheeley, Sean Still, Trevian Cootie, Stephen Lee, and Willie Lewis Floyd III. Who has been booked? Rudolph Giuliani, John Eastman, Ray Smith III, Sidney Powell, Kenneth Chesebro, Jenna Ellis, Kathy Latham, David Schaefer, and Scott Hall.
I bet you the girls
I'm trying to look at the pictures.
Get charged more than the boys.
Well, it's funny because Jenna Lewis has come out or Eastman, whatever the hell her name is, Jenna, whatever the hell. Yeah, Jenna Ellis.
I think it's Jenna Jameson.
So Jenna Ellis has come out and said she thought the MAGA coalition would be paying her legal fees, and she was surprised that they're actually not coming through with it. And then there's a correlated story where that guy we talked about a couple of months ago who moved the boxes and was assigned to delete the tape about them moving the boxes and everything else at Mar-a-Lago.
Head of security.
Initially, he lied to the FBI and told them he didn't know anything about any boxes. Right. He didn't know anything about any cameras. And now he's got another lawyer and he's going on the record saying, yes, he was given that assignment. Yeah. So this is about to get ugly.
Oh, yeah. And especially for these white girls, because they stick it to these Republican white girls. They can't stand them. There was a white girl in New Jersey. Remember big fat Chris Christie? And it was the what was it? The Travel Gate or Bridge Gate? Bridge Gate. And these boys were getting away scot-free. But then this one little white girl, they blamed her, pinned everything on her. Now, she ain't nothing but a secretary, but it was all her fault, all her idea, and all her everything. Have you ever
Thanks.
saw the little white girl had to do time in jail?
It's time.
So
That's
what
very
does that
interesting.
tell you, white girls?
No.
This is a man's world. Stay in your place. Stay in the kitchen, and you better not have no shoes on either.
Todd is what? Todd is a sexist.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's running high today.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so that goes to show you that these white girls are going to be they're going to start sticking it to them. But anyway, this is what you get when you're a Republican. Who would want to be a Republican, especially a female, under this crazy Donald Trump?
He's
Yeah.
gone full Charles Manson on us.
Yeah,
Well,
Todd
don't
is
call
going.
Get it
Donald
together,
Trump
Todd.
Charles Manson.
No,
Get
he's
it
talking about
get it
Don't
together,
you.
Todd.
call Donald
Todd.
Trump Charles Manson.
Todd, you've
Donald
gone
Trump's
full
got his
Charles
own
Manson on
demon.
us. Todd, you've gone nuts, man.
What have you gone?
I haven't gone nuts. You've gone nuts. You're making no sense at all. You're so obsessed. How can you be so
I'm
obsessed?
obsessed with who? Who am I obsessed
Donald
with?
Trump. Donald Trump. Why are you so
I was
obsessed with
talking
him?
about white girls. What are you talking
But you are
about?
obsessed with
Grabbing them
Donald
by
Trump.
their genitalia.
Yeah.
Well,
So
he
let's move
said
on.
It's weird. Stacey
I'm
brings
sure
up a
he
topic.
said it.
We're having a
I'm sure he
discussion
said it
about
as
the topic,
a
and
joke.
here we go with this again.
I mean, Willie, why
Well-
you really gotta hate him that you're bringing up stuff from what 6 years ago or something?
Or this is really topical. Everybody in the world's talking about it. A former president was just indicted in Atlanta, Fulton County Jail, like he
It's
was a
all
regular
BS
dope boy.
charges, man.
That's
It's all
a big
BS.
story.
Why do you
The
call
whole
it
world
BS
knows it's
charges?
BS. So y'all still talking like it's not? These are real charges.
You told us
These
this
aren't
would
real
never happen. We
charges.
just saw it happen. Yes, they're
None
real
of these
charges.
indictments are
That's a
real.
real
This
federal
is. Do you
court.
know what you're
That's a
supporting?
real judge.
You're supporting the
say real-
USSR.
Yeah,
You're
out of your
supporting
mind.
And
China.
you're supporting,
You're
This is mental
supporting
illness.
North Korea.
People
You're
listen to
supporting
this.
a
Hold on,
government
let
that
me
is
mute
just
my
like
mic so
North
everybody
Korea
can hear
and
you. Please
China.
keep talking.
You're supporting a government right now that is just
Look at
like
Keith.
China and
Look
North
at Keith. He
Korea and the
loves
former Soviet Union. You are
Wait, you're saying
supporting
that
that in your
America is like
country.
that?
Yes,
You're saying
you are
America is like
supporting that right now. That's what's running our country right now. That's who's
Wait.
running our country.
So
The
Stacey,
Soviet
ask
Union,
him,
the same as
say,
the
if
Soviet
you
Union,
don't
the same as
support
China.
Donald Trump,
Is
you
your
support
people are running this
Soviet
country,
Union.
and you
Okay,
think you're
we're
safe.
at 4 times of him
No,
repeating
y'all
the same
think you're
stanza.
Okay,
Let's see
okay.
how many times he
You
does it.
think you're okay
let's
with the
not.
people
We
who are
gotta
running
move
this
on.
country. You're not
Stacey,
okay.
I gotta
shut
move
him
on.
You're
up.
I
fooling
gotta move on.
yourselves.
So
You're
he
fooling
repeated
yourselves.
himself
Look at
4
Stacey.
times,
Y'all
didn't
are
challenge any of
nothing.
the
Y'all are
evidence or the
nothing to these
actual
people.
case.
No.
And
You
look
are
at him. He's still
supporting
talking.
a
Listen, he
state-run
said this the
government.
12th time he
You're
said it.
supporting
You
a
are
Look,
state-run.
he
dumb.
keeps
You're
saying
going
that.
Like,
against
seriously.
You're going to
everything
push.
that
Seriously,
is
man. I feel
American.
bad beating up
Why
on
is
this
he
mentally challenged
retarded?
person.
Oops, I didn't mean to say
Okay,
retarded.
okay, stop.
Sorry.
Stop talking,
You're
please.
beating up on.
You know what? I notice when I'm watching a show and when everyone's talking at the same time, I just tune out because I can't hear them. I want to hear what you all have to say. And when you all talk like this at the same time, people
Stacey,
can't
I
hear
can
it and they
think for
want to tune
myself,
out.
but he said
Shut
I'm
up,
mentally
shut up,
challenged.
shut up,
Mentally
Look,
challenged is
shut up,
90%
shut
of
up,
black
I'll go
people
across your
voting
face.
Democrat.
Shut
That's
your mouth.
mentally
Now, you see
challenged.
what I mean?
Butthole.
Like
That's
Look at
mentally
he
this.
says
challenged.
racist,
Not me. I
stupid
can
things
think for
like that.
myself.
I'm
And
not
we're supposed to
90% of black
respond to
people
it
can't
as
think
if
for.
it's a real conversation. Like, it's a waste
Okay.
of time having him on here. He's
That's a
not
real
competent. He
conversation when
doesn't know what he's
90% of
talking
black
about.
people
And
vote
He's one of the
Democrat.
dumbest people I've ever
That is the
been
dumbest
associated
people
with.
who've ever lived.
No, it's you.
90% of black
You.
people vote Democrat. There's your
Listen to
retarded
him.
people.
One at
There's
a
your
time.
stupid people.
Listen to
There's
this
your
One at a
stupid. Not
time.
me.
wild
I'm
stuff
an
that he's
independent
saying.
thinker.
Why is he even on this
Stupid
show?
people vote in a block.
He doesn't provide
90%
anything
of
to
black
this
people
show.
vote
racist,
Democrat.
ignorant
That's
I
He
cracker.
gotta
doesn't
move on.
provide
stupid.
Look at
anything
his
for
lover.
Not
the show.
me. Not
Look at his
Keith.
Listen to
lover.
this.
Keith
Look at
and
his
I aren't
lover.
stupid.
Not Keith.
Nas
Look.
Listen
and
to
Todd
this.
are
Look at his lover.
stupid.
His
Listen
Y'all
to
lover.
are
this.
ignorant.
His lover is
Not
having a
me.
fit.
Y'all are
Not
ignorant.
me,
Not
and not
me.
my boyfriend
What's the
either.
purpose of having a show if he's gonna be on here? Like, this is pitiful, man.
Because all you do is spread your propaganda
You
and your
turned the
lies.
mic off,
I'm telling
went
the
and did a
truth.
bump, and came back.
It's time for, guess what? The
That's
truth
all
will
this is.
overcome your lies.
You went
You are
out
gonna
there.
be,
Excuse
you're
me.
gonna be rubble. You're gonna be
We're
rubble.
gonna be rubble.
You are gonna
This
be
dude turned
destroyed.
his mic
People
off,
like you who are
went and
trying to
drank some of
destroy
that
this country do
Thunderbird, and
not have a
came back
chance.
on the show. Sir, you sound inebriated.
Can you shut him
Sober
up,
up.
Stacey? He's got to
All right.
stop.
No,
Sober
Okay,
up.
please
no,
stop.
Say no
90%
Now,
of black
look at the
people vote
screen, please.
Democrat.
I
Stacey,
think
why is he on the
90%
show?
of black people are
Why is
drunk.
he on the show?
90% of black people are
Listen to
drunk.
this
90%.
racist nonsense.
90% of
You're a
black people vote
racist, you
Democrat.
dumb
Look at this
black
racist
loogie. You're
That's
racist.
racist.
moron with a Jerry
No,
You're
curl.
that you're the
Listen to
moron, Nas.
You're racist.
You're the coward.
You got a
You're the
Jerry
You're a
resident
curl.
coward,
racist.
You
Nas.
got
You're
a
a
Jerry
coward.
curl with
Okay.
your
I show
Todd,
forehead.
I
myself.
need you to
I'm
stop.
wide open. You're a
Todd, I
coward.
need you to stop.
You're a coward.
Nas, I need
You're
you
a
to stop.
coward.
Me?
What we're covering is breaking news
How is he
today. There was a plane crash in Russia. Russian Yevgeny, I'm not pronouncing his name right, Prigozhin, the chief of the mercenary group Wagner, was on board a plane that crashed northwest of Moscow today. The Russian Federal Air Transport Agency said the crash comes months after Prigozhin launched a mutiny against Russia's military leadership. The revolt was called off in a deal that required Prigozhin and his fighters to relocate to Belarus. U.S. President Joe Biden today suggested that President Vladimir Putin may have been behind the plane crash. I don't know for a fact what happened, but I'm not surprised, he said. Meanwhile, Russia said 3 people were killed in a Ukrainian drone attack in the border region of Belgorod. Let's start with Keith. I know you don't like international things, but for this former general,
Cousin
I
Todd,
think he was a former
$5.
general.
Keith didn't know about the story and has no idea. $5.
For the Russian head of this mercenary group, the Wagner group, what does that say about anything? What is your comment? I'm not even going to ask you.
Well, I guess, actually, Nas, you're absolutely right. But I will just say this, that perhaps it was a good thing if the guy's a mercenary and he's an enemy to the United States. And I don't know if the United States did that, sicking a drone, out to.
Did you hear anything about a drone in the story? And did you hear anything about the United States being like what? See, why not just say no comment?
Because
I told you. I said I didn't know about
I'm going to slam.
You just
Okay, so
added
let me
2
ask
things
Steven.
that don't exist
I
within the
said
story.
what I said was if the guy's a mercenary against the United States, then yes, that's good. Hallelujah.
Okay, so Stephen, he's not a mercenary against the United States. He was a mercenary who was a Russian who tried to plot a mutiny against the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. He has about 1,000 troops, and the United States doesn't know for sure, but they are suggesting that because he tried to do this mutiny, and because he said that Russia was wrong to invade Ukraine, that Putin waited and acted like everything was okay, and then possibly allegedly had the plane shot down.
Which is what he does, his MO.
Right.
So what do you think about that, Stephen?
That's highly probable and possible, of course. Yeah, I think he probably had that done. Who doesn't understand that? This is what happens in countries like that. And this country is headed the same way with the regime that we have right now. It's going to be the same way. Our people are not being treated right in this country with the leadership that we have.
Slow down, slow. Make a point. Listen.
He made his point. He made his point. He made his point.
The people in this country are not being treated right.
But wait,
Look at the people. Look at the people in Hawaii. Look at the people in Hawaii right now. They're not being treated right. People are not being treated right in this country. People are not being treated the way they should be treated. We're spending so much money in Ukraine and sending so much money there. That's our tax dollars, your tax dollars, Todd, and Stacey's and Keith and Nas and everybody else. That's our tax dollars. But they tell the people in Hawaii, we'll give you a one-time $700 check. You lost every goddamn thing you ever had, but we're going to give you a $700 check.
Wait a minute.
Todd, why don't you stop
Steven.
fighting with us? Why don't you stop fighting with us and join the people and join the revolution in this country and around the world? We're the people that are getting shat upon. We are getting shat upon, and you want to support the people who are shatting on you. You are not bright. Nas is not bright. You are not smart people. You are not smart people. You are stupid. You're a stupid person.
Mute him.
No, they call me stupid. I'm calling them stupid.
You are, though.
Stupid people.
Thank you.
You're stupid people.
Calling you stupid is not
All you do is you want to give your slave owners massages. You want to give your slave owners massages and bring them drinks. Yeah, you want to rub down your slave owners. You have no idea. I don't know what color your face is because you're too scared. Your face is yellow.
Your face is yellow.
Yay! Finally, I've only said that 6,000 times. You're doing like this, trying to get his attention. He's psychotic. He's on dope. He's like a dope addict. He can't hear you. He can't see you.
Will you address the? Okay,
Come on, Doug. What are you from the?
Todd, just address the story, please. They said they found 8 bodies, but 10 were registered. What's really highly unusual is this mercenary usually uses like multiple different it's like stunt doubles. He uses different IDs. He usually, if he says he's showing up in one place, he doesn't show up. He's always like, I think, very careful about where he goes, but yet he was on this plane, and supposedly so was the person who the Wagner Group was named after. But they found 8 bodies, not 10, including the crew, which is our thoughts and prayers to the families of those lost. But Cousin Todd.
Okay, good. Vladimir, I'm sure, did that. But I just wanted to talk more about this crazy conspiracy theory that Stephen and Keith always live on. They come out with things like they're treating people wrong. They're not treating you right, and which is saying absolutely nothing. And Keith knows that, so he just keeps laughing at Stephen. But this is the thing: when you say things like they're paying Ukraine so much money, that's your tax dollars. I told you this before, but I know it's hard to sink in, especially when crack is whack. When you tell a country that you have their back, you told Ukraine, get rid of your nuclear weapons and we will protect you. They did that. So we have to honor our word. See, 1 + 1 = 2. Simple as that. Now, is Keith and Stephen offended about how much money the United States gives Israel? No, they have an unlimited amount of money just to give Israel. When Israel's not holding up their end of the bargain, when they said, anyway, I can tell I'm dealing with a nut job. Keith doesn't care how much money you give Israel. Well, we do. We do. We're no lackeys. We're not dumb. And we don't owe them anything. We do that out of the goodness of our hearts. But when they say you cannot take other people's land, that's what we mean. And so anyway, we give Israel more than we give anybody else, year after year after year, and they ignore what we tell them. Can't do that and take our money.
Well, the reason
cooperate.
Israel, I'll tell you why.
I thought you had your turn already on this topic that you didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
So can I get my turn before you go, Christian?
I just
yes,
wanted
you
to
may.
No,
Christian, as a Christian, can I get my turn in before
yes,
you go?
You can.
Golden rule and all.
Praise him anyhow. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Nice.
I appreciate that. So,
that's right. But before you go, just say, Satan, the devil, the Lord rebuke you.
just so people know, the threshold for FEMA during emergencies is $700. This wasn't like a random figure they decided to pay these people. That's actually what the threshold is. You can look this up, Keith. I know you're giving the thumbs down, but again, facts don't care about your feelings. So you can look this up and see how much. Now, what happens next is politicians can advocate for what? Extra funds for the people in Hawaii, which is going to happen soon. Now, moving on to the next nonsense that was spewed on this show, we don't know anything yet. It's assumed that Putin had something to do with this. It's likely that Putin had something to do with this. He typically favors poison rather than a crash. But in this scenario, when you got a guy who was openly bucking against what they were trying to do and was talking about marching on Moscow, I don't think any world leader would forget that. And yes, that brother probably didn't have much longer to live after that. So it's a terrible scenario. Biden played it politically well just by insinuating that Putin might be involved. It's great political maneuver. And then the other part is, when did Americans get convinced that if you spend money out of the left side of your pants, then you have no money on the right side of your pants? You can fund a Ukrainian war, the DOD, and everything else, and also fund emergency response to Hawaii or any other territory that you own that actually needs it. This idea that because that's going on, there's less money everywhere else is like nonsense. This is beyond 8th grade education. So, hopefully people learn a little more. Turk, look, I'm going to tell y'all this one time. I'm not going to address you two for the rest of the show. I'm only going to speak to the topics. So anything you're upset about, you're just going to have to be upset about. But I'm going to ignore you two for the rest of the show. Please don't take that personal.
No. Like I take your. I don't take your weakness.
So shut up.
I don't take your weakness personally.
Okay, Keith, you wanted to say something. Go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, the Constitution, talks about in the Constitution.
God, look at that brother's hairline.
Citizens enjoy the privileges and immunities of all the several states. So the privileges and immunities are to protect our natural rights. And our natural rights are not being protected by this administration. Our tax dollars are being taken and used to fund a war that is not really our business. So
it is our business.
It is not.
That's the way it is.
It is not our business.
Hey,
You're so brainwashed, man.
When the president says,
right.
why are you so stupid? I mean, this is sheer stupidity. If the president of the United States tells another country that if you get rid of your nuclear weapons, we will protect you, why you keep ignoring that?
We should have given them
dumb?
back.
And so they did that, and so we have to keep up our end of the bargain, dumb.
But that'd only be to protect them in a nuclear war. That would only be to protect them in not in day-to-day battle. In a nuclear war. If you give up your nuclear weapons, we will protect you in a nuclear war. That's the rest of it, Todd, that you're not saying. So we should not be giving them $1 trillion. The only thing we're doing is laundering money there, Todd. You got to understand how corrupt these countries are.
Can we move on to the next
topic? The United States is completely corrupt.
I don't want to argue with these people. They don't know.
We know we're talking about Ukraine and Russia. They are equally corrupt.
That's only in a nuclear war. Dude, where did you read
They
that?
are equally corrupt. Russia and Ukraine are equally corrupt. And the United States is corrupt.
Anyway.
Okay, please look at your screen. We're going to talk about BRICS. We're going to start with Nas. Today, they met, and BRICS is an economic group. The leaders from Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa are holding meetings, including today. Now, Putin was unable to go. We don't know why. And Chinese leader Xi Jinping did not show up for one of the events. Nas, do you want to talk to the BRICS meeting in South Africa over the next 3 days?
Yeah, I think it's going well. You got the turmoil in West Africa going on at the same time. So this makes it a little more difficult. I don't know why Putin didn't go. Maybe security risk reasons, and just because maybe he's got a lot on his plate right now, getting planes shot down and all that. But no, it seems like this has gone well lately for them. One issue that they're going to have is figuring out international trading over the long term, because they want to become an option outside of the United States for other countries if they want to invest with them. And if they can offer sweeter deals than we can, then, at a certain point, they will get some people to shop with them. But yeah, I think it's really important that we don't live in a mono superpower world anymore. That's already changed. And I think most Americans are coming to realize that fact, that the rest of your life, you're going to live in a world with multiple superpowers. And, outside of from World War II up until probably late 90s, we were the one superpower in the world. And typically those things don't last very long, where there's only one. So other countries are going to rise, and BRICS nations, of course, they're the other biggest faction besides us. So, we'll see.
So then my question becomes to you, Keith, if you see this, a part of this BRIC nation, this BRIC conference, which includes South Africa, Brazil, China, Russia, and India. 2 countries are communists. So how is it very
not really
positive that you have a communist country in China and Russia as a part
Stacey,
of the
those 2
superpower
countries
in the
are
world?
not communist countries, Stacey.
Yes, they are.
What are they?
Stacey,
go back to the early 90s when
My
communism fell. The USSR was gotten rid of.
Hold on, Keith.
Yeah, go back to the early 90s when the USSR fell and communism was gotten rid of, and Russia became a Eastern state based on the idea of free market economics. And what do you have over in Russia right now? Oligarchy. Huge, vast wealth in the hands of the few, and the rest either barely middle class and extreme poverty. But no, they don't have communism in China or Russia anymore. That's long gone.
Okay.
And we don't even got to get on China.
They're importing it. They're exporting it. Their communism here. But you hear.
How do you export communism?
My turn.
No, seriously. How do you export a political ideology?
You're not supposed to address me. My turn. All right. So, Stephen, you heard how he said they're not going to address us, so I'll just address Stephen. You heard, you heard what he said.
He got me.
No communism in China. China is the greatest violator of environmental rights and all of this stuff. And
environmental rights.
That is true.
What are you talking about?
And they are fascist as well.
Yes,
no,
that's right.
Not at all.
Donald Trump was right. Well. And the only reason I think that Nas doesn't think they're communist is because
I can read.
I didn't say that.
No, because I can read. That's why I know it.
Because Nas.
You can read what they you can believe what they tell you.
We're out of time already, but I gotta get Stephen and Todd in.
Go
ahead,
Stephen.
Keith.
Well, I wanted to say that.
Okay.
Well, let me finish up just saying that Nas does. Well, I know he must know what it is, what a communist is, and it's very fast. They don't follow they have a form of capitalism which is not capitalism because it's crony. In other words, it's controlled by the government. China controls everything. Everything.
That's fair. That's a fair description, Keith.
So
that's a fair description.
They control everything, right? How is that? Why do you want that in America? Because that's the model we're going to go by.
No one said
that's the model we're going to go by. That's the model we're headed. We're headed that way. Where China is now is how we're headed. We're doing everything they're doing. We're taking what they do, everything.
Like what?
It's going to be everything that they have done. Identity. We can have facial recognition. We can have AI. We can have the same everything that they have that they're doing, and we can have like our own. If your credit rating, your whatever credit. You know what? It's like not financial, but it's like if you do a jaywalk or something, they penalize you. That's what this America is coming
They
to, and that's what you
don't do that. If
dumbasses
you
are
grab 'em by
supporting.
the snatch,
You
they won't
stupid
penalize you
people,
for
you
it.
stupid idiots are supporting the China model
there's really
for
no
this
reason for
country
this person to be on the
because you're
show.
stupid.
He adds
Because
no
you're not,
value.
you can't think
It's
for
just a
yourself.
YouTube comment
Ask
section in
people
real
in
time.
China. People in
So
China do
listen,
not want to live like that, man. Do you
No.
want your
wait a minute.
your
So they're
government to
brainwashed.
control
Do we need
you?
to ask
do is
them?
Do
grab
you want your
Like, this is a
government to
waste of
control
time.
your
snatch.
every
Stevie, go
move?
ahead. I mean, Todd.
You
Waste
don't
of
love
time.
your freedom. You don't love freedom.
You don't love your freedom.
Right? You want government to control your every move.
You want
No.
government to
To
control
tell
your
you you
moves.
can't buy this and you have to buy that. You want your government to tell you what to do.
Okay, you have to stop. We're out of time. Go ahead, Todd, and this is it.
Okay.
Thank God.
Well, when we live in America, we're free to grab girls by the snatch, and if you're famous, they let you get away with it.
What do you know about that, Todd?
Well, my president said it was America first, and I agree. He's the greatest president that ever lived. America first, second, and third.
Yeah, you don't want America first. You want China first. For some reason, y'all support China more than America.
I wanted. Keith is crazy, and so is Steven. They're really sick.
That's when you know we're right. When he says we're crazy.
No, I mean, you say
yeah, you got to. What you got to do is
and if you ask them,
just look at him. Just look at him. Listen to him. Listen to him.
Look at that face.
Look at him. And hear him.
A question like this: hey, why did Donald Trump take those papers from the White House and refuse to give them back for a year and a half? They were his papers. He can take those papers. He a president. He is president. He can take those papers. Right, Steve?
All right, I'm bored.
And
I'm
so
bored.
then,
I'm moving on. You're supposed to answer a question, cousin Todd.
Why would he call another state and say, hey, I need you to find me 11,000.
Not what he said.
The voting was over. They had finished
obviously.
And
it was
so
obviously. We all know. Everybody that with half a brain. That doesn't include you.
Everybody knows.
Everybody with half a brain knows that this election was BS in 2020. Everybody knows it.
These guys, they come up to me, Keith and Stephen, they come up to me with tears in their eyes and they say, sir, you made America great again. Biden's trying to stop it. Only you can save us.
I love
Only
it.
you can save. You guys are a pitiful sort. But going back to China, you guys brought up the crony capitalism of China. Basically oligarchy, where the government actually funds the majority of huge corporations over there, and that's their economy. That's far from communism. But the issue there is corporatocracy. And he says that's coming over. He says that's coming over to America. No, the private market in America is bigger than what government outreach can do. You want an example? Go back to 2008 economic crash. How many bankers went to jail? Exactly, 0. You know why? 0. Because corporate power here is extreme, and it is not dominated by government power here.
The government
did we
is
just
entwined.
have a former president?
The government is entwined.
Exactly.
The government is entwined with everything. What are you talking about?
Of course, they're intertwined.
So what you just said, you just negated what you just said.
Logic is
you wiped out what you just said.
No, slow down.
You did.
Drink a glass of water. Drink a glass of water. Slow down. When you make a statement, you say this country, the government is more powerful than the people and corporations and dominates their economy. That's one example. Now we come to America, where that power sharing is a little more equal, except the private market is more powerful than government. Matter of fact, they can lobby and get laws passed where they just put the piece of paper in front of the politician to have it signed. So private markets in America actually do have more power. So there is a difference. I know logic is tough for you, but just try to sound it out.
The CIA and the FBI run everything. They run the entire world, man. They run everything.
Out of time. This is our round table. Let me share my screen. Let me share my screen. We're out of time.
Did they just start running this 5 years ago?
No, it's been for a long time. It's been for a very long time, Todd.
The
Are they
Republican
mostly
debate.
Republicans or Democrats?
Decades. They're all corrupt, brother.
Okay, now
I ain't your
we're going
brother.
to start with Keith, then Stephen.
I won't talk to you.
then cousin Todd, are you going to watch the debate? And is it worth watching since former President Trump will not be present?
Is it worth
Well, I will
watching?
be watching the debate, even though I'm very disappointed that Trump is not going to be there. I'm sorry. I know all the excuses. That's okay, but I'll still vote for him anyway. And I wanted to conclude by saying this. I like what Bastiat said. This is Frederick Bastiat in the 1800s. He said this. He was an economist. The law has been used to destroy its own objective. It has been applied to annihilating the justice that it has was supposed to maintain, to limiting, destroying rights, which its real purpose was to respect. And that's by the Declaration of Independence. And I believe that's what the Democrat Party is all about. And people like Nas and Todd and Aguna just are basically blind. They don't see that. So Stephen was right. That's why I sit here and I laugh and I enjoy. I just sit back and relax because Trump is going to win in the end. Trump is going to see justice, and God will bring that justice on him. So I just thank God for
Why
that.
do you
That's why I
mix
like.
Trump with God?
Just leave alone.
Trump is the
Don't make him
devil.
speak longer. Hell, it'll get worse and dumber.
Okay, okay, thank you, Stephen. What do you think about Stephen? What do you think about the debate? Will you watch it? And what do you think about the North Dakota governor?
No, I'll catch it tomorrow or the next day or listen to clips or something like that. I'm not that interested in it because if Trump's not there, it's not a debate. It's a
Oh
bunch
my
of people
God.
who are afterthoughts. They're
Oh wow.
nothing. They may be one of these people may be a vice
So you know
president
this is the
candidate.
opposite of what you said years ago.
No, what I'm saying is Donald Trump has
You
no
said the
business going
opposite
out
years
there.
ago.
Donald Trump has no business going out there with the junior league, with the
Oh my gosh.
rookies, with the
But
little
Stephen,
babies that can't
Stephen,
do anything to him. The only thing he can
oh
do is hurt
God,
himself because there's fake
this is
indictments right
amazing.
now.
I have
There's
never
fake,
seen a
wait a
person
minute,
flip
there's
flop
fake
like you.
indictments. There's fake indictments right
Oh
now.
man.
Anything he
Let him
says,
this is his roundtable. Let him finish.
anything Donald Trump says at these debates right now can be used against him in a court of law. What he needs to do is chill out, do Tucker Carlson, tell Fox News, which is faux news, which is fake news, which is garbage. They wouldn't want to be
Wait,
a part of it.
wait a minute.
So
Fox
Donald
News is
Trump
fake
and
news
Donald
now?
Trump will.
Hold on.
I'd
Hold
rather watch
on.
Donald Trump
Stephen,
and
are you
Tucker
saying
Carlson.
Fox News is fake news now?
It's horrible. It has been for a long
Okay, thank
time.
you.
You know,
Thank you,
Fox News
Nas.
has been, it's infiltrated just like everything else. The CIA has infiltrated everything.
Okay, thank you, Nas.
No, I'm not gonna watch the debate. But honestly, this show was kind of a microcosm of that. Debate culture, which became popular on TV because of certain personalities. We've got that in sports, politics, and everything else. And that's how we typically address things. And it ends up misinforming people or getting people to stay further entrenched into their already misguided opinions, views, and everything else they don't want challenged. So tonight, I think, was a perfect example of that. We weren't really able to do the show as we normally do it because instead of actually addressing the topics, we just ended up in a period where some really sensitive people, their feelings were hurt, man. And, I feel bad for them, man. It's kind of sad. But typically, people who aren't that confident about their stances on certain topics where they feel like they don't know enough and they don't want to speak on it, well, they just start yelling and try to mash up the place. So you end up, it's like that old saying about a chicken and chess. You can play chess with a chicken, and all he's going to do is knock the board over and strut around like he actually did something. So, I mean, that's what it's like having a conversation with these two. So the show was lackluster because of the appearance of Todd, Stephen, and Keith. Todd's the only person who tried to keep things topical and tried to inject some humor into this. But Stephen and Keith, like you two are the worst panelists on YouTube, Facebook, and any other platform that ever exists because you don't know anything. Keith is clapping like a seal right now with with those beaver teeth sticking out.
Right.
Where'd you get those put in? And
Yeah,
of course,
I'll consider.
and
I'll
of course,
consider the
the Colt
source.
45 Maverick over there with his wet Jerry curl and the largest forehead on a white man I've ever seen. Stephen has comments as well. So, we end up in a roasting thing instead of talking about the topic.
But you know what? He talks about other people's looks, but he's too much of a punk
It's just
to
pretty
show his
sad.
face.
I hate
He
that.
talks
know.
about other people's looks,
No matter
but he's
how
too much
ugly
of
I
a
could be, I
punk.
could never
He's
be
so
as ugly as
friggin'
you.
ugly. He's so
Yo,
ugly.
oh,
He can't
yo.
show his face.
I must have
can't
hurt his
see you,
feelings.
Nas. I can't
Good.
see you, Nas. You're
Somebody
the
cut
biggest
that
punk
clip.
ever.
Somebody cut
You're
that
the
clip for
biggest
me.
punk.
Him saying I
You
can't.
talk about everybody
You're
else's
the
looks,
biggest punk.
but you
Okay, go
Why
ahead,
is that
Cousin
vein
Todd.
in your forehead popping
you
out?
don't show your
Are you
face because
mad?
you're
Go ahead,
Are
Cousin
you
Todd.
mad?
I don't
Okay.
see a vein. I don't see a vein
Are
in your
you
forehead.
mad? Good.
Steven.
I don't see a vein in your forehead because you can't show your face.
Can
I
you stick
can't-
to the subject, Todd, please? The presidential
Okay.
debate, the
Okay.
Republican primary.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it, and because I'd like for them to ask questions like, did Donald Trump win the last election? Start there. And was fraud ever found? And like I was saying, this is why in court, these questions would be asked and answered, and you can't lie. So then Stephen and Keith can't pretend not to know. And what I was saying before is Stephen said the absolute opposite 6 years ago. And when Trump said, I could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue, he said that he's calling you stupid. He's saying you're so stupid. These are Stephen's words.
Right.
That he
I
could
still
shoot
stand by
somebody.
that. I agree with you. I agree with you. I
Okay.
still stand by that. That was a stupid thing for him to say. I
He
agree with you.
believes that. He believes
I agree
you're
with you. Yeah, I've
stupid
got problems.
when
I got
you-
problems with him. I got problems with Donald Trump too. I'm not like
okay.
you. I
Okay.
can say what you won't say anything about Biden, but I'll tell you my problems with Trump because you are a punk. Just like Nas won't show his face, you won't
Okay.
talk about Biden. You won't say
wait.
anything about
So,
Biden
Look
that's
at that
negative
vein in
because
his
you're a
forehead.
sycophant. You're a
Dog, look at this
sycophant.
dude.
Time.
He said a succophant. Look at
Todd,
this
You're
you
a
got
ignorant
going.
sycophant.
moron.
Out of time.
No,
Our first
sycophant was on
responders and our
purpose, and that's
community.
funny now.
It
You
was
make
on
our lives
purpose.
livable. Thank you to our women and men of the U.S. military for all that you do and sacrificing your lives so that we are free to choose whatever we want to say on this show. We are forever indebted. On behalf of Aguna, the Nigerian moderate Republican, Keith, the constitutional conservative,
Gerbil teeth.
Stephen, the independent thinker,
Stephen, take that top off.
Nas, the Flow Television Network, and we are off next week. We'll see you back Labor Day week, September 6th. Good night. Thank you for joining us.
So
Take off that
Soul
top,
Glow,
Stephen.
when you trying to get your Jerry curl to look wet and dry at the same time, like how do you do that? What's the process for that?
Okay, I need to know if you have hair first, because I'm not going to give you advice if you're a bald man,
They
because
couldn't
I don't
take
know
no.
what you look like.
No,
I don't want
don't.
to give you advice.
Good
No, I
job,
don't.
Stephen. They couldn't take
I
it.
want Stephen to
They
take his
couldn't
top
take it.
off. And I
They
want Keith
couldn't
to
take
take his top off. Take your
All right,
shirts off.
that's it. Bad taste, Todd. We're not doing that. Good night.
Take it
Man,
off. Take it off, Stephen.
Hey,
that boy teeth look like
man, Stephen.
chiclets.